Okay, this is normal, to make sure that it's very clear. We're not talking about discrete random variables here. We're talking about normal, which is a continuous random variable. Okay, so we want a probability that p hat is between, they said, 0.34 and 0.39. So again, this is even easier. I don't need that infinity. So I'm going to copy the entry. And I have 0.34. So this is 0.34. And the next one is 0.39. That's it. And make sure that I delete that. So between 0.34 and 0.39, comma, I need to insert the point here. So, thank you very much. Everything went away. So 39, comma, 0.21. And close. I'm checking again. Between 0.34, correct, and 0.39, correct, and 0.36, correct, and 0.021, correct. So we got 0.752984. So then round to 4 decimal places, 0.753. Okay, if 100, okay, different samples were obtained, one would expect. Yes, 100 times 70.75, it's 75.3, round to the least integer, so I have to write 75. And part D, would it be unusual for a random sample of 500 that's to result in 170 or fewer who do not own a credit card? Why? Select the correct choice below and fill in the answer box to complete your choice. Would it be unusual for a random sample to result in 170 or fewer? Okay, so we have to talk about this situation. Very, very good question. So I'm on page 5. So we have, again, n equals 500. I'm just taking the notes here. And x equals 170 or fewer or less. Okay, select the, okay. So before we even look at anything, we have to perform some calculations. So when we are asked to determine the probability that p hat is less than, I need to have here a proportion or decimal. Please do not copy something like this in here, because p hat does not have anything to do with a number. Yes, it comes from a number over another number, but you cannot put in 170 in here. This has to be a proportion or a decimal. And how do I determine this? Very simple, x over n. So it's p hat equals 170 over 500. This number will have the place in here, not 170. Remember, this is a proportion. So 170 divided by 500, where's my calculator? 170 divided by 500. This is 0.34. Okay. So then p, the probability that p hat is less than 0.34 is 170 or less. That's what it means. It means that p hat is less than 0.34. I don't know. I have to calculate. So let's see what the calculator gives us. Very good question. Interesting. Okay, where's my calculator? Right here. So I have second and distributions. I want normal CDF, not binomial, no. Lower, yes, I want lower to be negative infinity. I want the upper to be 0.34. And yes, I can keep the rest because I have the mean 0.36. I have the standard deviation determined before. Okay, so from negative infinity to 0.34 with a mean and standard deviation, press enter. So I got 0.17045. So now, only now I'd look and see what they want. What do they want? What is it that they want? Okay. The result is unusual because the probability that p hat is less than or equal to the sample proportion is, which is less than 5%. No, it's not less than 5%. Let me stop sharing.
C.
Right? So this is 17%. This is not less than 5%. Obviously, you're such a fast reader. The result is not unusual because the probability that p hat is less than or equal to the sample proportion, okay, so it's not unusual. Okay,
Oh,
you
no, I said B. Sorry.
Okay.
It's not unusual.
Yes.
Because it's greater than 5%.
Correct. Let's read the C and D just for the sake of the argument. The result is unusual. No. The result is not unusual because the probability that p hat is less than or equal to the sample proportion, which is less than, correct. So the result is not unusual. I got 17%. It's not less than 5%. It's less than or equal to the sample proportion is. And what do they want? How many? Round to 4 decimal places. Okay, so I would have to write 0.1705. Again, I wrote in the air. Very nice. 0.17. What did I say? 1705. Yes. Let me check again. 1705. Correct. So be very careful because this is tricky. This last part was tricky. Why? Because they expected us to write this. That would be a terrible mistake. This will be true for the mean if I want, greater than or less than 170. But that's a different sampling distribution. We are talking about proportion. Do not put any number in here, left or right, doesn't matter, but a number less than 1. So you have to calculate the proportion. But they intentionally gave us this to trick us and put 170 in here. But that's not possible. P hat will always be less than 170. That's no question, right? So we do not want to put a number in here. We need to calculate. How do I calculate this number? X over n. Great question.